Do you go by Matt or Matthew?
Yeah, Matt's fine.
Do you? Yeah. Slide up like really close to the microphone. You want it like touching your face.
Yeah,
you can adjust it if you need to.
If you need to swing it up.
There you go.
Like that?
Yeah, that'd work. How you doing?
Doing all right. And yourself?
I'm good. This is the first time you've ever been here.
Yes, the ASTE, yes.
Yeah. And you've been a shop owner for a while now, haven't you?
Well, 2016.
Yeah. I love it.
Try to angle like right into the, Oh, it's really heavy and so let it slide back a little bit. But you just want to
lean up.
Yeah, just lean into it a little bit. And,
right. He has
takes
a really cool shop. Really.
Who does? Me? I do?
No, hell no, not you.
That's very cool. Super cool.
Very, very unique concept. Very, very unique way of doing business. I had the pleasure of coming down.
He doesn't know what you're talking about. What are you even saying?
It's not unique to me. That's what I do.
I know, right?
So I'm not really sure what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, you have a really unique way of the shop itself because you work on very specific cars.
Right.
You have some very specific cars in the shop that are pretty bad, eh?
Yep.
And you've built this like huge clientele. I mean, like people in my neck of the woods are like, "Hey, I'm going to take a copy." What? How did that? Like, how did you do that? And I guess the better thing is because I know your history. You got to tell us your history first.
Introduce yourself to.
Well, how far back do you want me to go? Because there's. I have an ADD life. It's been all over the map. So.
You have.
I introduce them at least. Nobody knows who you're talking to.
Oh, okay. I'm Matthew Koppi or Matt Koppi. Have a shop in Black Mountain called Koppinger Euro Service. It was Koppinger Performance. We recently rebranded because apparently we were scaring off the locals. They thought we only worked on race cars. I'm like, no, we don't even do that.
Right?
There's no money in that. So
you do have a pretty fast car, though.
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's a pretty slick little ride.
And I use it to deter people from spending too much money and false expectations.
That's true. That's true. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got, just a brief history of yourself.
All right. The only one in my family that gives a crap about cars is me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know how that happened. The story goes when I was 4 or something like that, I drew a 4-legged chicken. That was the first picture people could tell what I drew.
Right.
And then I drew a car, and that's all I drew from that point forward.
Right.
And no one else in my family understood where that came from. I kind of got hooked up with a top fuel drag racing team when I was 14, and I was the oil pan boy. At the end of the race, I'd come back, pull the oil pan off the 500 big block Chrysler engine, and I would clean it, find the pinholes, and they would braze it up and put it back in there. And started going to races with them, got to do a few passes with that car, which was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my entire life.
I bet.
Not even at full throttle. It was just, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
Joined the military, worked as a light wheel vehicle mechanic, which is basically anything heavy duty diesel with wheels on it. A lot of techs here are probably the same path because that's the largest job title in the United States military is light wheel vehicle mechanic. So a lot of people have cut their teeth on diesels and automotive in the military, as I did. Got off active duty, went into new car sales. For about 6 months, decided I did not like losing money at all. And then I went into mobile fleet maintenance and helped to build a business that did mobile on-site fleet maintenance where we had a couple vans set up to do really rapid oil services and inspections on-site for large companies that had big fleets and their morning meetings. But I had a bit of an accident. A truck fell and crushed my shoulder and went back into sales for a little while I recovered. Then during the economy tanking in 2008 and 2009, I went back to school and got a degree in something completely different because my ex-wife thought that'd be a better approach to life. Yeah. Didn't work out that way. And I decided to open my own business. So I've been working on BMW since I was 19, off and on in various ways, and that's my passion. So, and that's kind of how I've been known for the car I built as well.
Right. And one of the things I've always noticed about you, even just the way that you walked through the dinner last night, you can tell you were in the service. Right.
Yeah.
You have a very, very structured approach to everything you do. Mm-hmm. And I was really impressed the first time I came to your shop because it shows how much of that structure played into the shop, right? Because you've got a really unique operation in the way, like, man, I don't know what it is about that building. I effing love that building.
Yeah.
And like, it's a small shop.
It is.
It's in this, so it's like sitting off on this little side road, right? And all you see, like when you walk out, is the mountain is like literally right in front of you. Just this beautiful little spot, just amazing. And then like the front counter, I wish I had pictures. I probably do have pictures somewhere. You'll just have to show him. I mean, it's rare to see somebody pick a shop up like yours and start and create success like you created success and have structure like you have structure, right? Until they hire a business coach or they go to some training or something. Where did that come from? Like, where did you find that structure in that? Because you had a lot of process and you had things fairly nailed down. Without that, how did you do that?
So I struggled a lot. Got really, really hungry. That's not my first shop. The first shop I had was a really crappy place out in the middle of nowhere, had no visibility, had no amenities, no hot water, a toilet that barely worked, and it was just a real dump.
Was it done with Care Auto Repair?
No. This place was a dump. Like, it was not even an actual shop. I was working on the floor, no lifts. It was rough. The mobile fleet maintenance, we were always working on the ground under trucks. There was never any amenities. So it was just from the hunger.
Yeah.
Like, I knew what I wanted. I can still see. I know the next few steps that I want to make happen. I'm not really sure how I'm going to make it happen yet.
Yeah.
But I know what I want to happen. And that's kind of how I did it with this shop was when I first went into that building, the main shop space was all I had. We had a little, what's now the break room was our office, and the customers interacted with us there. That's where we got parts. It was really tight.
Right.
But I knew that I wanted that space next door, which I turned into our lobby and remodeled all that. But I know what I want to do next. Like I said, I just don't always know how.
Right. And so, you've come down here to ASTE for the first time, and you've been taking some training classes. Now, did you take management or did you take technical?
Management.
Okay. And so what has been your takeaway?
So this is my first ASTE. I have been to another training event prior to this one where I met you last spring.
Yeah.
And what I found last spring was I went into the training expecting it to all be over my head because I had never had any formal training. I've never owned a business. I've never really built anything like this. So I expected all that training to go completely over my head. And I realized there, like, I know my KPIs. I know my numbers.
Yeah.
I was just shooting for the wrong targets. So the margins weren't right. Things like that. And I was that guy in the back of the class, like, I'm the one at the end of the month with the stack of bills with the cool looking shop and the cool cars. Right. And I'm drowning. Yeah. And I walked away from that training. Okay, I got to make these changes. So this training event, I'm pleased to say that every training I've gone to so far, the management stuff, it's reiterating things I know. It's polishing things that I know. And I'm going back with some polished ideas. I'm going to tweak some things and make it even better. So I'm really enjoying this training event because there was no anxiety coming into it. Yeah. It was more excitement. Like, okay, now what do I get? Like, now what am I going to change next, and how am I going to make it better? So that's what I'm getting from this one.
So talking about what's changing, okay? What is it that we're going to work towards when we get back? Do you have specific things that you're going to make a shift on or you're going to make a change on? Yeah,
because like a lot of us, I've been focused on the gross profit. Okay. And the gross profit per hour, my coach and I have had a coach for the last year. Okay. We've been talking about gross profit per hour, and it's not really been a huge focus, but that's going to shift. Okay. Big time. But more along the efficiency, because as you said, my shop is not the biggest. I have 9 parking spots total. Yeah. And the efficiency is what I've been working towards. There's some ideas just from talking to other attendees that I've come up. I've found that I like. There's some things I've heard in the management classes that I like. We're going to go back and try to tweak even more the efficiency and making it tighter so we can get cars in and out. Just turn them over, get them out, out.
How many techs are you running right now?
At this moment, just 2.
Okay. Yeah. And now because I thought it was for a while that you were still working in the bays, weren't you?
Right. Yeah. So I hired the second tech. His name's Jose. He's here with us. Okay. To remove myself from the bay as a full-time tech. And that was a huge move. Huge move.
I feel like when we talked about that, there were some nerves or some anxiety.
Right.
it moving away from that. And that's one of the things that I hear a lot of shop owners that were the primary technician, and they say, yeah, but if I'm not in there, I don't know about the quality that we're putting out. And I don't know about and I sensed a little bit of anxiety from you when it came to that, right? Yeah. Because you've always been the guy.
Right.
And one of the things we see guys do is they go out and they say, okay, I'm the technician, and I am the service advisor, and I am the toilet cleaner, and I am the business owner, right? Mm-hmm. And they're trying to do everything all by themselves. And so what do? They go and they hire a less skilled technician. They hire an apprentice. They hire somebody that's completely green, a GS, and they're like, I'll teach them.
God, no.
Man, I'm telling you, right?
I mean, talking about adding on to your workload.
Yeah, dude.
Holy crap.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what I was getting ready to say is that the problem is okay, so we have 4 technicians in the shop and 1 apprentice. And those 4 technicians could spend 4 hours a day trying to teach the apprentice how to do that job.
Right.
And in 4 or 5 years, he's going to be proficient at that.
In 4 or 5 years.
In 4 or 5 years.
Which is good, though, because you want to build that. You want to develop that new guy, but at what cost?
Well, you cannot do it starting out, though. Mm-mm. Because if you go and you hire that guy who is not skilled, who is not a professional starting out, who doesn't know more than you do in a lot of ways, and that can be like an ego sting for a shop owner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the guy in my shop. I'm the guy who everybody comes to. I'm the guy who knows these things. And so if you're not willing to kind of take a little bit of an ego hit or take that risk and say, I'm going to put somebody in here that knows more than I do, or at least somebody that's extremely competent. The problem is they're like, well, how could I afford to pay them? Well, you're going to have a whole lot harder time paying an apprentice, even though they're earning way less than you would if you tried to hire a master level technician.
I think that was the biggest fear was how do I pay this guy? How do I provide enough hours to keep him going? And I'll say that in my situation, there's weeks that are super lean. Yeah, that it's a struggle, and I worry about that. But this is kind of going back to the change in the industry that you guys talk about a lot. The culture in my shop.
It's a 1 in a million, dude.
Come to find out, the culture in my shop is the reason that I have people. Yeah, like, they love the paycheck, obviously, but the culture is why they're sticking around.
Yeah,
and that's what I keep pushing all my fellow shops in the area. I keep talking to people. Like, fix your freaking culture. Like, make it a place where people want to come.
Yeah, dude.
Like, they might not like it every day, but it's a place they can come and feel comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I don't know. We've got a couple of good shops around us, right? Like, we're spread out a couple 100 miles, right?
Right.
But we've got a couple of good shops around us. But is it just me, or does it not seem like there are some rough ones out there?
There's some rough ones, yeah.
And I mean, is it like that in Kansas City? Are there a bunch of like...
Kind of.
Because, I mean, it feels like, and I don't want to throw shade at anybody, the people who would be listening to this and the people that we know and are friends with are really good shops.
Right. It's not their shops. It's not them.
Exactly. Yeah. There seems to be an overabundance of, like, I don't even want to call them shade trees. How would you describe it?
Just shady.
Yeah, exactly. You can leave the tree out.
Yeah. I've got some really high end operations around me. I'm probably the shady shop, the sketchy shop. They look at my little rundown building and they're like, ooh.
I mean, it's not even the rundown buildings. It's not even the small shops. It's that like paper tickets, no structure whatsoever. Drop it off. We'll get to it when we get to it. They don't give estimates, and then they pick it up and they don't even know what was done. Just scroll down on a sheet of paper and they hand you the sheet of paper and they're like, hey, I was over at such and such.
I wish I was surrounded by shops like that. It'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I'd be so happy.
I got one the other day, and I'll see if I can find this picture. I'll show it to both of you. I get this the other day, and this client goes to a friendly shop of mine, and he sends me a text message, and he says, hey, what do you think about this? I'm like, what? And he said, read that ticket. It's a paper written ticket. And it says, he goes down this list and it has all the things they did. And it was replace front brake calipers, $800. Okay. That's all that was on there. And it goes down into the parts line and it says employee food, $100. Swear to God.
Employee food.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I should start charging for that.
They have some balls. That's
Yeah. We were talking about a research fee. They're charging for the employee's lunch.
God.
That's
Let's
awesome.
look here. Hang on.
Good for them.
I'm going to find it for you. I've got to show it to both of you now. And they put the calipers on upside down.
oh
Oh no. Well, that'll screw it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't charge $100 employee fee and then
how much of that $100 was PBRs?
Yeah, I know, right? Well, look at the master cylinder.
a couple adapters in there.
Yeah, they put a brake line on it. They don't have a brake flaring tool, so they threw some adapters in there.
Oh, nice.
So they didn't have to.
Don't do that.
Right?
Yeah.
But,
Well, it's better
But
than-
is it leaking?
Yeah.
Oh, it's leaking? Well, okay then. Don't
So-
do that either.
Yeah.
If you're going to charge an employee food fee,
at least make sure shit's not leaking.
yeah.
You can just say, there you go.
Trying to find a picture of my front office. Oh, here's
Employees food.
this was the front office before we remodeled
I
it.
would have never imagined that's what that looked like.
It was a butcher shop at one point.
This is needs brake buster to complete repairs. Will be separate bill. They could at least spell O's. Gave your employees? What's that say?
I don't know. We see tickets like that all the time.
This is impressive. It's also a 2002 Chevy Astro. So if you own a Chevy Astro, that's the shop you go to.
Right.
Don't bring it to my shop because it'll need head gaskets and I'll end up putting them in for free.
I like how they even have the handwritten name of the company, the address, and everything.
I know,
That's
right?
professional.
Like,
That's
they went to Office Depot and bought like a stack of the
yeah.
triplicate carbon paper.
At least get a stamp though. At least stamp it. Like the stamps aren't that
cool.
expensive. Then you just stamp the corner. No?
I mean, that would be better than that.
See, this is why you just avoid any of that nonsense. You go digital.
But hey, they're getting their grease and brake cleaner for free, so that's good.
No, they saved a fortune, right?
I think that meant like $20 for grease, fittings, cleaner, $20.
Stacking it all up. In
Yeah.
one. Yep.
I mean,
But it's ambiguous enough that we can't tell.
Right.
I thought this was great. Mechanic recommendations. Had to modify to get to work. Was exploded. Was asked to fix problem. That is why extra charge.
Well articulated. I like it.
Did you read that line right there?
Yeah, I didn't. But here's the thing. You know, I would prefer that to be the shops around me. They're not.
Right.
The shops around me are doing 2 million plus. Very well run operations. There are a few shops. There's a shop up the street from us is a bit of a cut rate shop. They don't charge enough. They don't put any notes in their diagnostic. Like they just say diagnostic charge $100.
Right.
They're not putting testing notes and stuff like that in there. But they do a ton of used vehicles. So we're surrounded by repair shops and used car lots.
Oh,
That's
gotcha.
within a mile of me. It's just used car lot, repair shop, used car lot, repair shop. And the used car lots all use this one guy because he keeps them busy. He keeps his 3 mechanics busy. He doesn't have a very large shop, but man, he's just pumping cars through there doing used car work. Everybody else around me has a really well-run operation. And then you have a few one-man, just single bay shop.
So
But everybody else is like 6+ bays. There's an 8 bay or 16 bay shop up the street from me, about half a block north. To the south of me, there's, 4, 8 bays, 3 bays, all well established, all run well. And then there's me scratching and clawing. I need a big red barn.
You're still offended by that, huh?
I'm not offended by it. You sounded like you were offended by it.
I'm not offended by the fact that you think my shop is why I'm successful. I'm okay with that.
I didn't say that. I just said, it helps to be next to an extremely popular roadside attraction. And then all
How
you have
does
to
that
say
happen?
is,
I mean, do people go on vacation and like, hey, I need to go get my car fixed?
no, but everybody in town knows Mystery Hill. Everybody in town knows Mystery Hill, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then. On the big red barn next. Why are you getting me riled up with this again? On the big red barn next to Mystery Hill. Everybody knows the big red barn next to Mystery Hill. It's a giant red barn next to the popular roadside attraction.
Why does that how does that mean that I get more clients?
Oh my goodness. Are you serious? Like, if you... I go
because
to
they know where it's at?
I go to an ATI class. Okay, I go to an ATI class. This is like one of the very first classes I've ever been to.
Okay.
I had no idea about anything whatsoever. That ATI class was awesome. The guy's just running through numbers. I love numbers. He's just running through numbers. This is how you do the math. This is how you determine your employee's potential. And and I'm looking at my numbers and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so depressing. And the people sitting next to me. Would you turn that off? Yeah. The people sitting next to me have a shop like 2 hours north, and the guy's doing $1.3 million, and he's been in business for like 2 or 3 years less than me.
Okay,
I'm doing maybe $400,000 a year, and not paying the bills at all. By the way, not paying the bills in any way, shape, or form. And I go to him and I'm like, dude, how'd you ramp up to $1.3 million? And he's like, oh, well, we just got really busy really quick. I'm like, okay, tell me more. He's like, yeah, well, we have a really big sign. I'm like, okay. And we're next to Walmart.
Well, that does it. Yeah.
And in this tiny town of like 10,000 people, what do you think the biggest thing in town is? It's the flipping Walmart. Yep. He's right next to the Walmart with a giant sign.
And zero advertising budget, I'm sure.
Zero advertising. Yep. He did no marketing. I'm like, are you sending mailers out? Are you doing Google ads? He's like, nope. He's like, I just turned my sign on and they just piled in. Why? Because he's next to the Walmart. That's all I'm saying, is you're next to the Walmart. But and I'm not saying that you don't have to. You were friendly. You had good quality work. You took care of your customers. All that stuff helps. But if they don't even know you exist, having all that other stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't care how good your quality work is. I hate when I want to punch them. When they're like, if you just do good quality work, the customers should show me. Just right in their noses.
Well, Black Mountain's a really small town, right? So we have an exit, it's exit 59, the next town over, and you come in through Highway 70, which is like, as you're coming in Highway 70, you're cresting the hill in a beautiful scenic Black Mountain. Yeah. I'm on the left, and the mountains and the railroad tracks on the right. So my front, like you said, my front door, we have our little employee cookouts, and we just sit there and look at the mountains. It's wonderful.
Dude, it's beautiful.
But as you're coming in from this exit, which a lot of people that are local that live on the east side or the west side of town come in through that exit, that's great. If you live anywhere from downtown east, there's exit 64, which you just hop over railroad tracks and you're right there. None of those people know I exist.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating for me because I talk to people all the time. I'm Chamber of Commerce, and they're like, oh, where's your shop at? I'm like, it's right beside that major coffee shop that we have in town that everybody goes to.
Yeah.
Like Dynamite Roasting, good friends. Like, it's right across the street. You can see my shop from the main highway in town. Oh, I never go that way.
Now, it did help that I moved. I was in a cul-de-sac, so like it was a dead end road.
No one's gonna find you.
Yeah, and I was in a strip mall with at one point 1, 2, 3 other shop, 4 other shops. I was the 5th.
Oh, not good.
Yeah, and they've all been in business for years, and here I am opening my business for the first time. Nobody's there for me. It was a nightmare. I moved to a shop that's right outside this park. They have a farmer's market there during the summer. They have a bunch of car shows there at this park, and I'm on the south side of the park. But I still have to tell people, hey, I'm on the south side of the Merriam's farmer's market. They're like, oh, where? I'm on the south. Like, you drive by my building. I
still got you beat, though. My shop, the first shop I started in was $300 a month, which was the reason I took it.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah,
Dirt
don't do
cheap.
that. Yeah.
No, don't do that. Anybody listening, it's not good money. 30 minutes outside of any major populated areas.
No.
Like, so anybody come to my shop had to drive 30 minutes and get a ride to follow them out there for 30. It was scenic. It was beautiful. It was a great drive. And it was an old skating rink that had been converted to flex space. And I had a bay door on the backside of the building.
Was that his shop?
Yeah, I don't have any.
moly.
I don't have the picture of outside. I just got all the pictures of like
We have a Facebook page and we have a website.
Didn't you go there for your like
the
family trip?
no, it was
thing?
the ASTA
Yeah.
summer cookout.
Yeah.
With the this shop, though, the only reason I was able to do what I did at that shop was because 4 or 5 years earlier, I had started a Asheville area BMW group.
Right.
So everyone knew me through that, and they were asking me to help them work on their cars. Was the reason I got that shop space to begin with, so I could actually not do it in my driveway anymore. So people would drive that far to come see me, but I had very limited exposure just to that one group that I had built. So, and then moving from that horrible location to the Black Mountain location, I more than quadrupled my revenue in the first 3 months, which was like for me that was mind blowing. And since then, I've grown astronomically since then even.
Rough guess of what the revenue is in the shop. And I'll see if we can maybe throw some of these pictures up when we post everything.
So right now we've grown, and it's been more or less 34 to 36% year over year gross revenue. And that's not counting we've improved our gross profit and our bottom line. So we've been tweaking things. This year we're on track for 650 and that's up from 475 last year.
Right.
So
That's good.
Yeah,
that's with you in the bay working on the cars.
Right. And and we're talking about hiring a technician who's smarter than you. The guy, Jose, once again, he's here. When I was interviewing him for the job, I kept thinking, I can't hire someone dumber than me because then I'm just going to be back out there.
Right.
So he and I were talking. He was losing me. He was going into like detailed stuff. I'm like, I have no clue what you're talking about right now. So you're hired.
Yeah,
exactly.
Done and done. Yeah, that's awesome.
You bring something to the table that I have no idea what you're talking about.
When that happened, when you brought him on, did you see a development in the business? Because like when I hired Eric and Terry, right? I had decent techs before that, but I'm just saying like when I hired them, I spent a lot of time trying to secure the right people for the shop, right? And so when I hired them, it was like an overnight change in the business. And I think a lot of it was that was the confirmation for me. I need to dig in. I need to do better. I need to work harder and make this work. And to a degree, it freed me up to be able to do that, right? Because before I wasn't working on the business. I was constantly working in the business. I was putting out fires every time I turned around. Well, when I hired them as elite techs, now all of a sudden I'm not putting out fires. Eric and Terry are putting out the fires.
Right.
And they're saying, hey, I've got this handled. Don't worry about it.
So I'm not quite there yet. So, and I've had to look up the name. I'm horrible with names. I'm looking at people's names as I'm talking. Aaron talked about levers yesterday in the class. Like, which lever do I pull to do this, and the wrong lever, the right lever?
Right.
So my first big jump into hiring somebody to replace me. So this is my first step into the office full time. I've been trying to do it, but it wasn't working because you can't do anything half-assed for too long before it falls apart.
Yeah.
This is my first step into the office, hiring in Jose to replace me. So I was just struggling trying to figure out, okay, what lever do I pull next? And I also had just started with my business coach at the time. So he and I were working together like, okay, so we need to tweak these things. So the ramp up from hiring him in was not immediate.
Yeah.
That was scary because I hired this new guy on. I've more than doubled my overhead for payroll. I now got to figure out how do I get more cars in? Like, how do I get him the work so I can go from where we were billable hours every week to like a considerable amount more?
Right.
And that's been the challenge since, is just like, okay, how do I maintain a workflow and how do I keep cars coming in when I only have 9 parking spots to rotate cars in and out of my shop?
And that is the scariest part. Is like, how do I make sure I have enough to pay them? And the problem is that on either side of it, and you've been through this, I've been through this, is like, well, if I don't have enough work, I can't pay them, but I can't get enough work if I don't have them.
Right.
Right. Like
you always just hire and figure it out.
Right. Exactly.
You always just hire and figure it out. I've been on both sides of that, and I've been I'm going to cheap out on the technician, and I've been on the side of just hire him and we'll figure it out.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, there's no way to ease your mind. You just hire them.
You just have to do
it. And what
it.
you find out is that you are giving away more work than you think by not having them in the bay.
Yep.
You are pushing off on appointments. You're not pushing to sell the work. You're not efficient at getting the inspections to the customers. You're delaying to get the estimates out. You're not aggressive about setting the appointment and getting them in the door in a quick fashion. Because if you know that those technicians can pump out the work, it is a race to get the cars to fill the hole.
Right.
Yep.
And that mindset will fill your bays up very quickly. The minute that you've got a blockage, the minute that you're like, oh, that tech is a little slow, or that tech is not, or we're not going to get all this work out, or I'm going to have to explain to the customers the cars aren't getting out. That mindset, I'm sorry, there's just no way to fix that or overcome it. It's playing in the back of your mind, and then you're like, well, I can't get you in on Tuesday because I've already got this much work in on Tuesday, and I've already got 7 cars scheduled, and 7's a lot for my techs. And you see what I'm saying? And then you're pushing out, and then some of those appointments don't show up, and then it turns into something, and you don't care because you're like, well, I don't want to get any busier. It's already kind of hectic. It's a terrible idea. Just hire the tech.
Right.
Just hire the tech, especially if you got a good one in front of you. Like, wait.
Just go ahead and jump, right? Because if you don't, you never get that opportunity for that growth, right? You're just absolutely
it's
locking
probably
yourself in.
already there.
Yeah.
It's probably already there. You'll at least ramp up to sustainability very quickly.
All right.
Very quickly, you'll get ramp up to sustainability. And if you're not, if you're like, well, I hired him and oh man, I'm struggling to do all that stuff. I'm telling you right now, 9 times out of 10, you've somehow decided to cut out marketing, or you're doing a terrible job on the phones,
or you need leadership training, because you can holding people accountable to do their job.
We're talking about specifically just making sure there's enough cars to feed the techs.
That's what I'm saying, though. If you hired a tech and then you're not able to manage your people and yourself, to hold yourself accountable to doing the work, you need leadership training. You need management training from places like this, or a coach or something. Because that's when you were asking earlier, like, how do I do? I've been in the military for 24 years.
Yeah.
I'm in the reserves now. I was active duty for 8 years. I've been in positions of leadership since I was 20. So I have an advantage of a really advanced leadership training. And I see, some other shops in my area, and you're friendly with them.
Yeah.
They've great work, great shops, amazing people that are just now learning the leadership stuff.
Yeah.
And it's painful. And I'm like,
it's hard to watch in a lot of ways.
I try to help, and I don't want to push too much. And they reach out to me sometimes. Great people, love their shop, want to refer a lot of work to them. But that part right there scares me, because you see people who have all this potential and they struggle with the leadership part. And for me, like, leadership, both internal and external. So you're leading your people, but you're in charge of yourself. You got to be able to say, no, this is my program. This is what I'm going to be doing. I have to do these things. And if you aren't strong enough to do that, then you fail yourself and your employees.
Sure.
So it's an internal thing. It's a leadership.
That's why some of us shouldn't be shop owners. I recognize it. Listen, I just got to pay that EIDL off. I pay that EIDL off. I'm done. I'm out. I am out.
I'll be hiring soon.
Oh, I can't work for anybody, dear. You'll fire me within a few days.
Probably. That's the reason I don't work for anybody else. I don't want to work for anybody, because I will just, no.
I show up late to everything ever. So I'll show up late and be like, I'm sorry, I'm 7 minutes late. But it's only 7 minutes.
Now look, what the problem is that when other people do it to him,
he gets pissed.
Yeah.
Of course.
That's because I'm always late to everything. And if I bother to show up, and it was because it was Paul Danner. I didn't want him here waiting. I thought you had already been in here, but they're in here like, doing one of them deals where they're looking down at their watches. And I'm like, hey, where's Lucas? He hasn't been in here?
He's shaking hands with somebody at the urinal.
That's exactly right.
And then he's so cute. Then he has the testicles to then tell Paul Danner, everybody keeps stopping me on the way in here. It's like, oh yeah, Mr. Underwood, so popular. You're talking to Paul Danner. What's wrong with you? Did you even realize? You know what it is he says it so much, he doesn't even realize who he's saying it to.
Right.
So then, it just rolls out, and then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that to you, who were able to make it in on time.
I'm still trying to find pictures of the outside of my shop.
That was adorable.
That was cute. With the ASTE shirt.
Yes.
We just had a little girl smush her face up against the window.
It was absolutely adorable. David, you suck. And I do need to make sure I ask everybody listening, if you come to Apex, we'll be there. We're going to be recording at
We're
Apex.
going to be at Tools first.
Yeah, we'll be at Tools. So, make sure
Tools will be quick. We'll be in and out.
Yeah, but
Tools is not a very long event.
No, but they need to make sure they give you hugs.
Brett Fadley needs to stop smoking.
Yeah, he does need to stop smoking. And
I asked him, like, how did the
you jumped right over the part where I told all of our listeners they need to give you hugs because
I heard it.
Yeah. You love hugs. You love it when random strangers hug you.
No.
It makes
here's the thing. You know what the problem is that I am in the bathroom with these people. And we all have a lot of time there. We all have different habits. We all do different things, to each their own. But I see who washes their hands and who doesn't. And I hear the noises and the grunts. He's got pictures of the front of us.
You swipe a little bit left and right, not too far, but
and I'm just saying, like, that is one of the reasons I don't like to be touched.
Wrong way. Go the other way.
I had a technician. Yeah, don't go that way.
You're just gonna see my motorcycle. That's all.
I had a technician.
That's a pretty shot.
Yes, the front.
Look at you.
Smiling.
Look at you.
Right, stop.
Oh, funny meme.
I had a.
He's like, don't hand me phones. Yeah. He's like, whoa.
I had a technician one time, and he came into the shop, or he came into the office, and he's like showing me these pictures of this car, and he's going back and forth, and then he flips one, and he says, "Oh, there's my penis. Don't look at that."
Why would he have a picture of his penis on his phone?
We have it ready to fire out.
What is that?
I'm like, oh my god!
It's the same reason you keep filters on the shelf, just in case you need them, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, what else are you going to do? And I will never, as long as I live,
people don't keep pictures of your pecker on your phone. Don't do that,
David. Well, never mind. Where did you keep pictures of other people's on your phone?
Don't keep pictures. Don't keep pictures of any pecker on any phone. Just
no.
Leave them be. Leave them be.
Oh,
I'm just curious. At one point, do you go, "That's impressive. You know what? I'm going to take a picture to capture this moment." And you're like, prop the leg up, and click. And then you keep it on the phone. Who does that?
Well, when you get the angle right, you want to keep that
get
one.
the angle. You gotta,
like that's
this
the
looks
best
impressive.
one yet.
But at that point, is it not catfishing?
Yeah.
You're like, "Hey, I just want to show you something, lady friend." Bloop. Hoping that she comes back and go, "Wow, that's impressive." And then she sees it in real life and goes,
She says, "That's unique. That's better than any other one I've ever seen." It's completely different. Thanks for sharing.
I was really going for the curvature, I mean, I'm just telling you.
the curvature.
Oh my god.
Hey, okay, so the plane
segue.
The plane ride with the urologist the other day. Super smart guy, very smart guy. And he said, "Did you know?" He said, he's a urologist for the VA, and worked in private practice for years. And he said they see between 150 to 200 fractured penises per year. And he said they will not fix them anymore. He said that it is literally.
How do you fracture a penis?
I know a guy, a soldier. Apparently, his wife and he had a disagreement on how endowed he was. So when she got a little bit rambunctious and went up and came down, she misjudged his endowment.
Oh,
And came down, didn't quite line up right, crushed it, and broke it. And it's he was very proud to show the scars and pictures. And it
I still don't know the mechanism though, because there's no.
It ruptures
the blood vessels.
Yeah, it ruptures the blood vessels and it interacts with the urethra in ways, and it's not good.
Yeah, so then that's what this guy was saying. Is he was saying that there is
is he tossing her up like
I don't think he was doing anything. I think she was just getting into it.
Holy moly!
He was laying there.
Well, she was trying to get into it.
He was just laying there. He was just trying to hold on.
So he explains that there is a right way, and it has X consequences, and there's a way that's less effective that has X consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, medicine teaches you to do it the right way. And I didn't understand everything he was talking about. I use big words.
Right.
And I'm not a big word kind of person, right? And so, you know this. And so he basically said that we often, to reduce liability, have to start making decisions about the health care of Americans today, especially in the VA, based on, he said, listen, he said, I'm not going to lie to you. He said, in the VA, he said, you really got to F up to get sued. And he said, what happens is he said, if you work for the VA, you will not get sued working for the VA. He said, as long as you're employed by the VA, you will not get sued as a doctor. He said, but by God, they come in there and tell you they're firing you. He said, you know you're getting ready to get sued. He's like, that's all there is to it. He said, if you get fired from the VA as a doctor, as a practicing physician, you were in trouble. He's like, you know. And he said, now we still have to carry the same insurance and the same liability stuff, all that. But he said, here's the thing. He said, in healthcare in America today, because of this litigious nature, we're making decisions about healthcare based on our potential liability as opposed to what's right for the patient. He said, that's wrong. He's like, I'm telling you, that's wrong. I know that's wrong. I know it's not the right thing to do. What do you think about that? I mean, isn't that crazy?
You know what you do to avoid these conversations? Just put your headphones on. You put your headphones on, you hook it up to your phone, and you mean mug. You do those three things.
Hey, to all of our
they
listeners,
don't have conversations. Let me tell you about 150 to 200 fractured penises a year. I'm sorry. Do I know you? Why are we talking about this?
I don't know if you noticed, I have this persona where I'm just very much stoic, and people don't bother me.
No.
I go to the gym
like,
and put my headphones in, like you're talking about. Even if their battery's dead, I don't care. I'm putting them in. No one's going to talk to me.
Yeah,
I'm good.
But see, our listeners need to know that if they see David like that, they just need to reach
into
over
the
and
microphone,
just like pat his head a little bit. Don't you love that? Don't you love that as a follically challenged individual?
No, nobody touches me.
They want to touch your head for some reason.
No, I don't get that. It's probably been, I don't know, 10 years since somebody tried to touch my head. Yeah. Don't touch my head.
Don't touch my head.
Yeah.
David just likes being touched, period.
Especially on the head and hugs.
Exactly. Especially
I told you it's the bathroom thing, dude. I know what you're doing there. I know where those hands have been. I don't want you touching me. I'm sorry.
You shook Cecil's hand?
Cecil washes his hands. He likes it warm.
He's going to kill us.
He does.
There's a lot of people here that are not washing their hands.
I know.
I was very surprised.
He's calling them all out.
How many professionals I watch walk in, use the bathroom, look at me, make eye contact, and
make eye contact and beeline it out, and the nod too, and they're like,
I watched. I was in this one right here behind you.
Yep.
Yesterday, and dude comes out of like one of the stalls, and he's standing there biting his finger.
Oh no!
This is very interesting.
He's not.
Don't worry, he washed his hands when he got done. He was still chewing on the fingernail.
Here's the thing, folks, and I just want all our listeners to understand that at the very least, I get you're not peeing all over your hands. I get that. I get that you're probably washing your junk too. Your junk's nice and clean, and you don't get any pee on your hands. The minute you start touching the stall, the toilet handle, the door handle in the bathroom, you are getting all sorts of nasty bacteria all over your hands. Wash your flipping hands. And also it reduces the spread of like the cold, flu, on and on and on. It's just a good habit to have.
It's just wash. Good manners. And just for the people around you, just wash your hands. Just let them see you wash your hands. Even if you just
it does keep you healthier.
Like the 5-year-old that washes the fingertips. I don't care. Just do that. Something. Just make an effort.
Yeah.
Just make it look like you're doing something.
Yeah. Do you wash your hands, David?
Oh man, religiously. I can't. You know the other thing too is when I'm cooking and I get even a little bit of anything on my hand, I gotta go wash my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I touch something,
I can't stand that.
That's sticky.
Let's talk about gloves in the shop. Do you guys wear or have your technicians wear?
Yeah, I do.
And when I remember to order them.
Yeah. Oh shit! What about during COVID? They were $30 a box.
Dude, that was crazy. Uline had them.
I still bought them.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't stop. All my guys use gloves, and they should, just to keep chemicals off of your of your skin, so it doesn't soak in.
So many of these guys use brake cleaner to wash their hands. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Don't do that shit on your hands. And I really regret. Like I had a fairly wild younger years, and so I now looking back and seeing all of the people that I was running around with who have cancer and things like that, I'm like, oh God, that sucks.
Well, during my fleet maintenance days, there was a gentleman, an older mechanic, who had really severe cancer, and he was saying, he told me, he's like, oh yeah, it's because all those years of working with burnt motor oil and diesel motor oil, soaked through his hands, on his arms, and that's what his doctors tell him he got it from, apparently. Yeah. From that moment forward, I was wearing gloves, and everybody's back then, like 15 years ago, people were making fun of me for wearing gloves. Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah, exactly. I don't want to die. I don't want to die a miserable death. I remember smoking a cigarette one time that was soaked in diesel motor oil, right, and not even realizing it was happening. I had it on my hand. I stuck a cigarette in my mouth, and the oil had dripped down it. I mean, I remember that to this day. Like, God Almighty, that was stupid. You know what I mean? Like,
smoking is stupid. Yeah, I quit too. So
yeah,
I never smoked. But we have a good friend who had an issue with the heart, and he's still smoking.
Brett, you need to stop.
We're gonna shame him.
That poor urologist said that he said it's the craziest thing ever. He said number one cause of bladder cancer is smoking. He said absolutely number one cause of bladder cancer is smoking.
Bladder cancer.
And he said, I will sit these people down, and he will say, okay, you're smoking, and he said, I respect your right to do that. But he said, I do need to tell you as your doctor, because he said a lot of the guys who are in the armed services are smokers. And he said a lot of them, lot of them. And he said, you know, they'll tell me, well, if you knew what I'd been through, if you knew what I'd
That's
seen.
Just an excuse. That's
right.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
And so he said, here's the thing. He said, I'll sit them down, and he'll say, all right, I completely understand. But here's what I'm going to tell you about bladder cancer. And so he goes through all of the consequences of bladder cancer and what the surgery is and what the treatment is and how it progresses and what happens and how all that goes. And he said it terrifies them. Oh, I'm going to lose the use of that, and I'm going to, all this stuff. And he said, like, oh my God, I don't want that. And he said, now that scares you, but you're not afraid of heart disease. You're not afraid of lung cancer. Yeah. You're not afraid of anything else. And I've told about the dude that he was a helicopter mechanic, and he went to the VA because he was having carpal tunnel. And so when they do the carpal tunnel surgery, the dude at the VA is like, hey, we should probably go ahead and do a MRI or whatever it is, because the helicopter mechanics are known for like these one very specific problems. Yeah. He's like turned a certain way doing a certain thing, and it caused a problem in the shoulder. And so the doctor comes in when he gets done, and he's like, hey, anybody talk to you about anything else? He's like, what are you talking about? He said, you need to quit smoking right now. He said, I don't want to quit smoking. He said, brother, you got lung cancer. And he said, we just saw it. He said, just saw the corner of it. He said, I didn't know if anybody had told you. He said, no, I didn't know. And I watched this dude, like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And luckily they caught it the way they did, but still, I mean.
Well, there's chemicals that the helicopter mechanics use. Actually, Sam, one of my techs, he was a Kiowa crew chief. Yeah. And there's chemicals they use to clean. I can't remember what the shaft name is, but there's a certain shaft that has to be perfectly, absolutely spotless. And the chemical they use to clean it like you can't get it anywhere other than in the the aviation world.
Yeah.
And it's one of those that if it touches you, if you're not wearing the PPE for it, you're done. Like you're getting sick. You're going to have some kind of cancer. You're going to grow a third leg, or something's bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
Holy moly!
There's craft that we use in the armed forces that it's nasty stuff. Even just a normal motor pool.
Yeah.
It's some nasty stuff.
Well, the biocide for diesel fuel came from the motor pool.
Mm-hmm.
It was made by Raycor. And if you open that sucker up and you read the instructions on that bottle, holy crap. I mean, it tells you it will kill you every way you can be killed. I mean, it is.
As a young mechanic in the Army, they're like, okay, the MSDS book is on that wall beside the hook and the electric gloves, like all those things, all the safety board, right? And you walk over this MSDS book for all the crap that's in a motor pool. That sucker's like, I mean, it's thick.
You're never going to read it.
None of it. No, and if you did, you'd be terrified.
Yeah, you wouldn't even work
the
on
things
it.
that you're touching are going to kill you.
Yeah.
The dust that you're breathing is going to kill you. Oh, by the way, the exhaust fumes that
Yeah. If something's going to kill you no matter what.
My father-in-law gets small cell carcinoma, and they tell my wife, they go, this is probably going to kill him in a couple of years.
Mm.
And they go, it's treatable. We're going to get it. He's going to go through chemo and then radiation. We'll get it. The problem is most people don't stop smoking. Right. And it comes right back and it gets more aggressive, and they can't survive the second or third round of chemo, their second go around where they have to cut it out and zap you and pump a bunch of chemicals in you to kill this cancer. So it kills them all off. They just don't stop.
The moral of this conversation is that mechanics and technicians and owners need to be taking very good care to protect themselves, because the stuff we can deal with, not just cigarette smoke, is this dangerous stuff.
I was talking to Brett, and I asked him, I said, at what point, because he's 51, he's not that old. 51 years old, like he still should have another 25, 30 years of life left in him. And I said, at what point do you just get stubborn enough that you think yourself invincible? Like you can keep smoking, you've had a heart attack, you had to have a stent put in, that should stop you and go, you know what, I need to make wholesale changes in the way I act.
It's hard though. And I think when you're addicted to something, you put it on this scale and you say risk, reward, risk, reward, risk.
Yeah, but
reward,
there are mitigating medicines or
a funny story about that one. Chantix, when it first came out.
Oh, boy.
Okay, not Chantix. Okay.
So in 1999, I was stationed in Italy, and they came to us as smokers, a young soldier, like, hey, who wants to quit smoking? I was like, why not? I want to quit. I want to save some money. I don't like the way I smell. And we got this class. It's a smoking cessation class. You do it for 2 weeks, and at the end of the 2 weeks, I'm going to prescribe you a pill that's going to make you not want a cigarette. I was like, sounds good to me. Sign me up. I get out of work for 2 weeks, and I get a magic pill. Hell yeah. I did it. Class was great. It gave us a lot of good tips, and don't let a 3-inch piece of paper control your life and things like that. Mm-hmm. Little mantras you would say, but that pill, no shit. I take the pill. Like, I don't want a cigarette at all. Nothing. Like no desire for a cigarette. But man, I had some crazy dreams.
Boys, I'm gonna tell you what.
And then I started having these issues. So in the Humvee world, there's on the geared hub, there's the star washer that if you don't bend in the little locking tabs, the hub will come apart.
Off. Yeah.
And you'll see the wheel going on the road, and the Humvee will have a bad day, and the driver. And you got an initial. If you bent that tab and you've got an initial off on everything you do in the Army, so that way if something does happen, they come back to you and put you in jail.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a job, and I'm like, I don't remember if I did that or not. Normally me, I would say, well, screw it, I'm opening it back up. I got to make sure because I don't know. I can't confirm. I was like, it'll be all right. That Chantix had me so loopy and like, say love you. That's fine. I'm good. I was like, I stopped. Like, you know what? I'd rather be a smoker than be in jail or kill somebody. So I got rid of it. Well, come to find out, like a year and a half later, they put it out in the public. It was Chantix. And then, as we all know, that didn't turn out very well for a lot of people. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I was taking it.
That's some wicked shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That is some rowdy stuff.
To get off of cigarettes?
Yeah. So it's like an antidepressant. And the way they told us was, we're not sure how it affects.
It causes suicide.
Yeah.
Suicidality.
They told it because we asked, like, how does this work? And like, we're not sure. It's an antidepressant that affects the part of the brain that craves nicotine, that the nicotine receptors are in. And we're like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Yeah. We didn't know any better. We were taking it. We were the guinea pigs for that shit.
Yeah, that's just how the armed forces works. I've got a nephew, and so okay, I've got two nephews. One went into the Air Force and the other was in the Army. And the younger one, when he enlisted because his older brother was stationed in Hawaii. And the younger one got stationed in like Alaska. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to do this. I think I want out. But the older one, he went through some similar things where they were like, hey, try this, But I'll never forget, he when he got back, he said, I always thought really highly of the armed forces in the U.S. He said, my mom was in the Air Force. I always thought it was like they did things the right way and things were very, very, very precise and things were good. And he said, I realized that wasn't the case. And I said, well, what made you realize the case? He said, I still remember the exact second it happened. He said, I was sitting in the back of a Chinook. And he said, I'm like up against the wall. And he said, the pilot's over here. And he said, there's something hot on my back. And he said, I turn around and look, and he's like, there's this hot oil dripping down the back wall, and it's dripping on my back. And he said, I said to the pilot, hey, man, hey, dude, like, whoa, we're leaking something. Like, there's oil leaking. And the pilot says, yeah, it's not a problem unless it stops. Let me know if it stops leaking. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, shit.
Right.
Well, I was talking about the gum. Yeah. Like the gum. You can still take the gum.
No, dude,
gum doesn't work for me.
I think that made it worse.
Really?
I think that made it worse. And I'll tell you, when I quit, Alex had made an ultimatum that I was going to stop smoking. She said, if you want to hold your child without taking a shower, you're going to stop smoking. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so I was surrounded by people who had cigarettes. Mm. So I'd just go out and borrow one from somebody. Yeah. And I had like cut back, and I was to the point that I wouldn't smoke one. I'd go out and I would smoke the nastiest cigarettes because that's what was available.
Right. Some Winston's or something.
Exactly. God, those things are nasty. Horrible. And so like I'm borrowing them from people. Old Tim, he used to run a record business, and he'd be out front and he'd have that pack of Winston's. It's exactly what it was. And I'd go smoke one.
Nasty. Migraine headaches for the rest of the day.
Yeah, dude. And so when Jimmy was born, I left the house. She was born the night before. I left the house and we did some running and all this stuff, and was running around with my dad and going back to the hospital. I'm like, oh, I'd love to have a cigarette, because I quit that day. I quit the day she was born. And I walk into Walgreens, and there's this guy in Walgreens, and he was always a little weird, always a little funny. And I'm like, I'm clearly a grown man. Mm-hmm. And I go to get a pack of the nicotine gum. And he says, I can't sell you that without an ID. And I'm like, I want to quit smoking. I'm not trying to smoke. Right. I am trying to
It's not cool to chew gum that has nicotine in it. It's not what I'm going for.
And he said, no, can't sell it to you unless you have your ID. And like, I've not had a cigarette in 24 hours at this point. And that's the first time that's happened in years. And he's like, sorry, buddy. I guess you're going to learn the hard way. Without your ID, there's nothing I can do. And dude, I have never been so close to committing a felony in all. I've committed plenty of things that would have resulted in that, but I have never been so close to jumping across a counter in a Walgreens and dragging somebody out the front door as that exact minute. I still remember the rage that I felt. I've never even been that mad at you.
You have so many issues. It's so messed up. You could kill the Walgreens guy for following the law.
I sent my dad in to get the gum. And then, like, 15 minutes in, it pulls a filling out of one of my teeth.
Oh, there you go. That's
because it's like,
so it wasn't the fact
gum.
that he wouldn't sell it to you and made you feel like shit because it pulled out a filling.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. It was just the combination of that experience, you know? Yeah. It was the combination of that experience.
Well, now you can get vape pens with...
I will say that helped me, because it's the same thing we talk about here. If you want to be a millionaire, surround yourself by millionaires. If you want to be broke, surround yourself by broke people. Same with smoking. Like, if you want to be a smoker, walk outside with all the smokers.
Yeah.
If you don't want to smoke, don't hang out with smokers.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, it was like, I don't want to smoke. I don't hang out with smokers anymore. But when I got on to, when I was doing the drill sergeant thing still in the reserves, I'd go down to Fort Jackson for a while, Fort Benning, be around a bunch of other soldiers that were smoking. I'm like, fuck, give me one. Like, and then I come back, I'm smoking again. And the vape, being able to step down to zero, which in vaping is just a horrible thing anyways. It makes me look like such a douche. So I didn't want
Do
to
you drive a Subaru?
No, I drive a Beamer though, so a BMW and whatever. But no, I didn't want to be the douche with a vape pen, but it also helped me step down. But surrounding yourself with non-smokers is the best thing. So tell your friend to stop hanging out with smokers.
He's the only one out there. There's smoking.
There's a whole bunch.
Oh, is there?
It's like so bad that as you're standing in the hallway here, it's like someone's smoking.
It's
right
wafting in.
You know, I don't want to go to tax jail. I should probably stop hanging out with you.
Yeah. I am probably holding you back. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But
It's worth it. I feel like getting insulted today. I'm going to call Dave.
Holy crap!
Oh wow, that's
Jeez.
That was awesome.
That's the best way to